Hello everyone, welcome to AKS IAS. This is Santosh Koka. So, tspsc, APPSC Group 1 and 2 English and Telugu medium new batch was started recently on 11th November 2024. Prelims combines integrated coaching, offline, live, online classes will be available here. For more information, you can call this number. So, let's take today's main section of free initiative question for 29th November 2024, that is subject related to economy. Examine the implications of the US imposing up to 60% tariffs on Chinese imports for the global economy. How can India position itself to mitigate risks and enhance its trade competitiveness in this scenario? Here, we are regularly following our simple and smartest technique, that is 3 steps before writing answer. In the first step, we need to focus on keywords and question tags, right, within 1 minute. So very important. Examine is the question tag, important question tag here, right? So we need to assume that already examiner knows something about the topic, right? So we need to give some unique and different information here. So what is the topic here? Especially impact of Chinese tariffs on Chinese imports, right? Very important related to economy. So next, in the second part, how is the general keyword? No need to mention here, worry here, right? So here keywords, implications means here we need to focus on providing positive implications and negative also, right? So other than that, in the second part itself, we need to give some India position itself to mitigate risks, right? Like needed measures here, right? So very simple structure here, right? First of all, positive implications, right? So next, negative implications. Finally we need to provide some measures mitigating risks, right? So very important structure, simple structure based on the keywords and mentioned in the question, right? So next step, within 1 minute here, brainstorming, we need to focus on recalling keywords, important keywords related to topic, right? Here we need to talk about, or we need to we are writing economy type of question, right? We need to focus on providing some information related facts, data, reports, etc., right? So for example, here we need to focus on providing some information related to some reports, especially, right? Reports. So for example, we have IMF report, right? So other than that, we have some important recent inflation measures are important. Relatedly, we can talk about some Chinese dominance, especially, or WTO estimates we can include, or we have especially PLA schemes, India context, right? India US trade surpassing our information related to data, right? So or we have some projects like improving logistics and India perspective. We have some Sagarmala projects, right? Sagarmala project. These are very much important information need to include as a justification part to the points, right? So first of all, we need to focus on providing current affairs intro before providing some background of the question topic, right? So US plans to impose up to 60%, that is the major important context here, right? So on Chinese imports to reduce its trade deficit and counter China's industry subsidies, that is the main motto here, right? So US tariffs on China's imports, right? So this is very much important here. So and also in the background itself, in the background part, we can talk about something related to what is tariffs, especially background part, tariffs, what is tariff, what will be happen related to this, right? So a trade barrier to protect domestic industries, or as a geopolitical tool, we use tariffs, right? So historical context, we can connect the similar high tariffs in the 1930s worsened the Great Depression. That is also very important phenomenon regarding our topic, right? So 1930s Great Depression is the very much important significance part need to include in the background part, right? So in the body part, we can include first of all positive impacts, right? Whatever we have positive implications, we need to mention here. First of all, in this diversified supply chains is the major important phenomenon. Diversified supply chains is the positive impact, right? So in the question itself, they asked implications, but we need to provide positive and negatives, right? Companies are shifting manufacturing to alternative countries like Vietnam, we have Vietnam and India, right? So this is the major important positive factor. For example, Apple increased its manufacturing in India, right? So example is Apple here, right? So other than that, we have other example, that is for opportunities for emerging economies. That is also very much important positive factor, right? Opportunities for emerging economies, right? This is very much important. Here other nations can capture market share from China, right? That is the most important significant part. Example, Vietnam's exports to the US especially recently grew by 20% in 2023. That is very much important. So next important thing we can include in the positive factor, that is reduced trade imbalance also, right? Trade imbalance is reducing. That is very much important, right? So here countries aiming to establish more balanced trade partnerships, right? For example, IMF report, according to IMF report 2023, supply chain shifts can stabilize global trade here, right? So this is the much important report need to include here. So other than that, we have negative impacts also. We need to focus on providing some negative impacts also, right? So here we can talk about supply chain disruptions, especially supply chain disruptions in this negative part, right? So here industries more depending on Chinese imports facing delays and cost hikes also, right? For example, here semiconductor shortages, especially semiconductor shortages due to Chinese dominance in rare earth materials is the perfect example here. Supply chain disruptions related issue. Next we have inflation rise. Inflation rise also very important. Higher tariffs increasing consumer price globally, right? Consumer prices globally, that is the major impact here. For example, US inflation touched almost 6.5% in 2023 due to trade tensions also, right? This is the perfect related fact, right? Next important, economic slowdown also very important here. Economic slowdown. Here economic slowdown means here protectionist measures could reduce global GDP growth by 0.5%. So here in this technological or competitive era, every country is following protectionist measures, right? So due to this, reduced global GDP growth by 0.5%. That is very much important. So according to our W2O estimate especially, right? So we need to provide some sources or reports like facts or data, especially related to examples as a justification part here, right? So in the final part, we need to mention some important needed measures already given in the keywords, right? India's position, right? Before conclusion, we need to address this. So here, first of all, boosting manufacturing under Make in India is very important, right? Make in India, boosting manufacturing under Make in India is very much important. Strengthening local production to attract companies moving out of China is very much important. For example, we have PLI scheme, right? PLI schemes led to 20% rise in our electronics manufacturing investments in 2023. That is very useful, right? We can use these type of manufacturing boosting techniques, right? So to contain China, right? Next, enhance trade with US and Europe. That is also very important. Europe and US trade relations increasing or enhancing is very important. Forging stronger trade partnerships is very much required. Example, India US trade surpassed almost $190 billion in 2023. This is much important factor, right? So other than that, we can also increase export competitiveness also. Export competitiveness also we need to increase, right? India's position increased, right? Focus on textiles, especially we need to focus on textiles, pharma, especially pharmaceutical industries or agri, right? So this is very much important, right? So for example, Indian textile exports to the US grew by almost we have 15%, right, to tariff changes. That is very much interesting here. So next important needed measure or India's position mitigating risk is improve logistics and infrastructure. For logistics and infra, we need to focus on reducing trade costs with better connectivity. For example, we have Sagarmala, right? Sagarmala project we have, right? We can cut logistics costs using this already cut by 10%, right? 10% as per Niti Aayog. That is also very much important, need to mention. Niti Aayog report 2023, right? So almost we have reduced by 10% logistics cost by 10% by using Sagarmala project, right? So these are the very much interesting facts and interesting reports need to include in our answer, right? Please focus on writing all this information in a separate notebook. It will be useful for the upcoming examination, right? So before conclusion, in the conclusion itself, we need to focus on providing for futuristic line. That is, collaboration among nations is very crucial, right? Very much important factor is collaboration, right, among nations is very much crucial. Long-term global economic stability. That is, global economic stability is the very much important keyword need to mention here, right? So this is the perfect structure and approach according to the demand of the question, right? So next important question, that is day 138 mains Shikshna question for 30th November 2024. Discuss the significance of the granting recognition to indigenous languages like Kaugru for the socio-cultural and economic empowerment of marginalized communities in India. That is related to society, tribal groups, very important. So write your answer and upload in the AKS app. Thank you very much. All the very best.